What's going on, guys? Rich Schneider right here, publisher of the Night Report. Big day today. It's National Signing Day. It's the day where all the high school recruits sign their national letter of intent, choose whatever school they're going to go to in the future. Right now, Rutgers is expected to sign 22 players, 21 high school recruits, and you're going to see one transfer in there. If you don't know already, it's going to be Joshua Youngblood out of Kansas State, transfer technically out of Berkeley Prep down in Florida. Played under Coach Schiano a little bit down at Berkeley after his Tampa Bay Bucks days. But anyway, today we're going to talk to Adam Friedman, Mid-Atlantic recruiting analyst. He's in charge of anywhere from the Carolinas, Virginia, all the way up to the northeast of Maine. And then we're going to talk to Josh Helmholtz, our Midwest recruiting analyst. He's got plenty of insight. Rutgers actually had a pretty good haul in the Midwest. I think they had 4 kids out of 3 out of Ohio, 1 out of Illinois. You guys are familiar with Ryan Keeler. We have a brand new video that just came up with him on the site today. He's very excited about signing with Rutgers. But these 2 guys are 2 of the top recruiting analysts in the business, and they're going to kind of break down what Rutgers did in this class and what Rutgers is kind of doing in the future, as Rutgers is already hitting that Midwest and Jersey too in that both regions right now. So, all right, guys, stay tuned, enjoy, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the boards.
All right. So I guess first off, what's your first overall opinion of this 2021 Rutgers recruiting class? I think there's about 12 to 13 guys that are from the region.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with what Rutgers was able to do in this recruiting class. Right now they have a top 30 class. We'll see if that holds through the early signing period and through February, the later signing period. But I really like what Coach Schiano and his staff were able to do in this class, bringing in some important playmakers, but also shoring up the defense, in particular the front 7. A great job here. They're building a class that's going to help this team compete in the Big Ten, a rigorous schedule there in the Big Ten East.
So now looking at the class, the top 2 rated kids, especially from your area, are Elijah Clark and Kyrie Banton. What can you tell me about them? I know you saw Elijah a lot this summer in 7-on-7 camps, and then I know you saw Kyrie previously at the Rivals camp.
Yeah, I really like Elijah. He's one of my favorite prospects in this class. Really just a do-everything kind of defensive back, somebody that can play the corner, he can play safety, he has great coverage skills, he's not afraid to come up and play the run, he's got really good ball skills, can anticipate the play very well. I love what I've seen out of him. I think he's a guy who could end up starting as a freshman, maybe not day one, but by midway or end of next season, I expect him to be in the starting lineup. He's got great skills. And then you mentioned Banton, Kyrie Banton, the linebacker out of Newark. Big fan of his, too, a big, rangy linebacker that is pretty physical, and he can play sideline to sideline. He's also got a frame that can hold a lot more solid weight, so I expect him to get a lot stronger and improve even as a linebacker that can shed blockers and flow to the ball. I'm a big fan of what they're getting in Kyrie Banton for sure.
So now, obviously, Rutgers got Clark, who's number 4 in state, Banton, who's number 8. And then on top of that, they also got Jordan Thompson at 9 and number 14, Desmond Igbenison. What can you tell me about those 2? I know they're a little bit more of under the radar, and they're both 2 of the top athlete prospects in the state.
Yeah, I like what Thompson can do on both sides of the ball, really. I think he's probably going to end up on the defensive side of the ball, though, as more of a front 7 kind of guy, 6'3", 235. I think he can flow to the ball well, but he's got really good ball skills, so it's really going to be about how he develops once he gets on campus. We could see him playing everywhere for the Scarlet Knights. And then Desmond Igbenison, a great athlete too, really fast, really good ball skills. I love when he's got the ball in his hands in space. He can make guys miss and take it the distance. I expect him to probably end up on the offensive side of the ball, though, just because he is so dynamic with the ball in his hands. So, Rutgers needs guys that can score from almost anywhere on the field, and they need some more explosive players, and Igbenison really fits that mold.
So now one of the other guys that a lot of people don't know about is Max Patterson out of Virginia. I know previously you've written about how important it would have been for him to get on the camp circuit, to get a couple more recognition and a couple more offers and stuff like that. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, I like Max. He's a good player, really reliable hands, and he's got pretty good speed overall. He's not a big prospect. He's 5'11". We've got him listed under 170 pounds. He's probably closer to 180 right now, but he's a guy who's going to really take advantage of that strength and conditioning program once he gets on campus. And he's a worker, so it's going to be important for him to continue that persistence and really try and crack the starting lineup there and work for playing time, because a guy like him, kind of an overlooked, underrated guy, quote unquote, that didn't get a lot of offers, he's got to come in with a chip on his shoulder and really work for that recognition so that he can, make an impact with this team.
And then the last question I have for you, Rutgers got a quick start to that 2022 recruiting class. They already landed Giovanni Bermudez out of South Jersey and Addison Copeland out of Buffalo, New York, for your region alone. What do you know about those two guys, and how do you think Rutgers will fare in the 2022 class in second year under Shiano?
Yeah, I really like Bermudez, electric player. We were just talking about how Rutgers needs more explosive players, and this guy really fits that mold. Can score from almost anywhere on the field, but he isn't a big receiver, just 5'10", 170 pounds right now. We'll see how he develops over the next year. And then Copeland, a similar player, maybe not as fast, but he can stretch the defense still because he's got a little bit more size. I expect to learn a lot more about him as the process goes forward. Being up there in Buffalo, doesn't play a ton of excellent competition up there, so it'll be important to get some eyes on him down the road. But this Rutgers 2022 recruiting class, it's going to shake out depending on how this team really builds on this momentum that they've gotten this year. They've only got a couple of wins this year, but they've outperformed expectations by a mile. If you look at this roster, it's really changed over almost completely in the last two recruiting classes now. Coach Shiano brought in probably more than 30 players when you talk about the previous recruiting class and what they've done in the transfer portal. And now you've got this next class, the 2021 class, with all these guys that Coach Shiano and his staff have vetted and think can contribute to this team. So you're going to be looking at an even more improved team in the fall, but it's going to be important for them to build on that momentum to make sure that this 22 class can still stand up to the rigors of the Big Ten East schedule and at least match what this 21 class is bringing in.
Thanks a ton, Adam. I hope to hear from you soon.
All right. Thanks, Richie.
All right, we're joined by Josh Helmholtz of the Rivals.com network. He's the Midwest recruiting analyst. Josh, I know Rutgers has a couple of guys from the Midwest this year signing with them. What do you think of these four so far?
Really solid, really. I mean, it's probably the best work that they've done in the Midwest, my region, that being Ohio and West. And I think they've got four really quality guys here. Obviously, we have, I think, Ryan Keeler rated the highest. Kind of, almost similar to George Karloftis, the Purdue defensive end that had a really breakout freshman year and then was injured this past year. But a lot of similarities there between Karloftis and Ryan Keeler that should bode well for, Ryan Keeler's potential success in the Big Ten.
So now, other than Keeler, what stands out about the rest of these guys? Let's start talking about Braden Fox for starters. He has the bloodlines between I believe his uncle and his dad both played at college or D1 college.
Well, the challenge for a big wide receiver is always going to be, are you sudden enough to they're going to be fast. So how are you going to create separation from them? And that's always going to be the challenge for big wide receivers, is to be able to consistently create separation, because it's not just about, winning those battles for the jump balls. You've got to be able to be a reliable target for your quarterback. And so he was a kid that I didn't get a chance to see live and in person this year, and had gotten a chance to see Hope in earlier years, but had not gotten a good chance to really get a feel for his movement skills in person.
And now, what can you tell us about Kevin Toth? I know he's a former quarterback, if I read this correctly, and converted into an offensive tackle at this point.
Yeah, I really like him. And again, similar situation where didn't get a chance to see him in person, but I mean, from what we saw in film, the potential there looks like this could be a future All Big Ten guy if he can adjust to the weight, he can adjust to just college conditioning and strength training and everything of that helps him, and his body can adjust to that and can take that without losing athleticism, without losing foot quickness, then he could be a really outstanding pickup. He's one of those guys that because he is kind of that risk-reward type, I'm just not sure how he's going to be able to react to that, because obviously, like you mentioned, I mean, he was played other positions. He's not a big kid, I mean, in terms of measurables at this point, but he could get that way, and we just don't have a feel for how his body's going to adjust to that weight, and I'm interested to see that. If he does it successfully, it could be one of their best pickups in this entire class.
Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, Sean, I believe it's pronounced Munerlin. He chose Rutgers over a couple different Power 5 offers. They're taking him as a tight end, but it looks like he pretty much plays wide receiver for his high school team.
Right, and that's the question. I mean, is he just a flex guy? Can he be an inline guy? I mean, if he's just a flex guy, how much of a mismatch is he? Forward linebackers and safeties, that still remains to be seen. He's kind of I guess he would have the lowest floor of the four guys we've talked about. But there's some potential there. If he can bulk up, if he can play at 245, be an inline guy, and not lose that speed and that agility, that's going to be a tough ask, no doubt about it. But if he can do that, then, you got some potential upside there, and he would be able to create some mismatches in the passing game, but also be serviceable, as an inline tight end in the running game.
And then I hate to put you on the spot here, but Rutgers also landed a 2022 Midwest guy in Rashad Rochelle. Still a long way off before he signs, but what can you kind of tell us about him? I know he's mostly worked out at quarterback only, but he's going to come into Rutgers as a wide receiver.
Yeah, he was a tough one to evaluate because I have seen quite a bit of Rashad, but it's always been as a quarterback. He's always worked out as a quarterback. And I was kind of surprised that teams looked at him as something other than a quarterback because we've never really seen him do anything different than that. Obviously, there was no football season in the state of Illinois this year, so we did not get an updated evaluation on him. Rashad spins a beautiful football when he's on. He just lacks consistency as a quarterback, and obviously, size-wise, not ideally sized for the quarterback position, especially at the Big Ten level. But as a wide receiver, as a defensive back, is something other than quarterback. He was tough to evaluate because we just haven't seen him in that role very often.
Mm-hmm. And then the last question I have for you, how important is it for a school like Rutgers that's obviously based on the East Coast to recruit the Midwest and recruit the Big Ten areas out there?
I think it's most important that they recruit their home state, that they recruit in their backyard successfully, not just New Jersey, but maybe getting down to the DMV. Maybe, when I see like a Michigan going out there and having all these kids from New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, I think it's more important that Rutgers sends them on turf first and then goes out and is able to utilize the fact that they are on television and you can go to Ohio and Michigan and Illinois now and use that familiarity to cherry pick some top guys like a Ryan Keeler, like a Kevin Thompson, some of these other guys. So I think more important, I don't think that should be their focal point in recruiting, but it definitely can be, an addition to what they're already doing, back home and protecting their home turf.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Josh. Hoping to hear from you soon on the boards.
All right. Take care.